they've been contacted in this manner. A platform like yours, what it helps us do is, it's a click away now. I mean, I'm hoping it will be a click away, because the way you've created it, I was quite surprised the detailing that you have done. And I look forward to now, even for casting directors, the access for them becomes much, much easier. Because otherwise, Mumbai becomes the hub. You always are making available actors that are here in the vicinity. The moment you think of an actor who's from Malihabad, you're like, who's going to now try and reach out to that person, get him here and audition? What if you don't like the person? All those kind of questions arise. So I think this is going to be great.
What Ashutosh is talking about is actually very true, because we cast Smita Patil from a Marathi news channel. That was the first time Sham actually saw her. We all saw her and said, wow, there's a charisma about her, there's an aura. And though she's just a news reader, she projected herself brilliantly. And the rest was history. Because the first film that she ever did was Charandas Chor, and which was a little village film which was on a play, in Chhattisgarh, for that matter. And after that, of course, she became whatever she became. Yeah. But she was cast from a Marathi news channel, which some of our light boys and peons used to watch on a regular basis. And they were the ones who told Saab, look at this girl, she's absolutely smashing. And that's how she was cast. I mean, basically, what Ashutosh is talking about is true, but what your thing is going to do is going to open up a whole lot of possibilities. Now, you look at the verticals that exist today in terms of possibilities. The film industry, at its best, is still a moms and pop shop. Okay, so its casting is done through people who are useless relatives. Okay, and so somebody's bhai, bhatija, useless chap, some drug addict, some guy who's come back from rehab, acha usko dal do, because they actually believe that you do not really need real talent for male actors to succeed. Okay, the women are all from outside. And the reason why the women are from outside is because nobody wants, there's a stigma about putting your daughter into the movie industry. So they don't mind somebody else's daughter being in the movie industry. But you don't want to put your own daughter into the movie industry. Now, this is the hard truth. I mean, what I'm saying is existing for the last 50 years or 100 years, and there's residues of it coming through even now. There are lots of young producers and directors who are willing to experiment. But the hardcore industry actually doesn't want to cast new people. They want somebody who's established, somebody who's already there, somebody who's going to be their ticket to ride and who's going to give them an initial, which is what they call it. Okay? But there's so many verticals now opening up. There's Netflix, there's entertainment on the phone, there's serials, there's a whole lot of people who are now not just going to watch movies.
So ये आपका जो casting का comment है, I actually want to ask.
This is going to open up the whole Pandora's box.
Well, I hope it's not Pandora's box. I hope it's a box of flowers and roses.
Well, part of it will be Pandora's box. Well, part of it will not.
But I'm going to ask Karan to comment a little bit, because he is the most prominent discoverer of talent, I think, globally. And Karan, if you could take a few minutes to kind of opine on two things, right? One is the discovery of talent that this portal can do, and two is, what is going to be the impact of content creation when a portal like this gives you accessibility to talent globally?
Firstly, I think in the zone of casting vis-a-vis movies, I think a lot has changed, and in the last decade specifically. I think there was a zone in the 80s and 90s, which I think Prahlad was referring to, about the useless relatives. But I think, fortunately, I never had any useless relatives, so I didn't have to bring them onto celluloid at all. But I do understand what he probably means is nepotism, which I think is fairly active in the film fraternity, and that's something that we have to acknowledge and accept on all levels. But I think recently, and I think Ashutosh will share that with you, and especially directors like Ashutosh have done some fantastic, supporting casting, and that have actually gone on to create memorable characters. And in the last decade, I've noticed I would say, the initiation of the casting director who has acquired prominence. There is actually, it used to otherwise be something very ad hoc. Just like Ashutosh said, he used to go on and, kind of look at regional television. All of us used to kind of do the same thing. We used to go on television, or we used to go and just see who were in other movies. It wasn't really a structured network created in the zone of casting, which has been a recent phenomenon. And I think now the casting director actually has acquired frontline credit, and also and so many of them have been responsible, be it Mukesh Chhabra or be it Shanu Sharma, be it, I think recently the casting of Urta Punjab, which I say Hani Trehan, I think, who did a phenomenal job. These are actors that there is no way that you can actually know anything about unless it's a structured process. Similarly, so with what you have introduced has taken that structure and given it more definite structure. So I think it's completely fantastic, and one doesn't need to depend on nepotism to get talent on celluloid now. You could find it, in theaters, you could find it in regional cinema, you could find it on digital formats, you could find it on television shows. And it'll all be kind of streamlined with your concept, and I think it's phenomenal. How does it change and create content was your second question. Well, obviously, I think that when you do find the kind of exceptional talent that is available to you through the digital format, it of course makes you think and create characters and makes you kind of change things, and you don't follow the conventional path of creativity. I think it does give you an open up windows and doors, as I said earlier. And I'm vastly excited about the possibilities. A lot has changed, and I think it's time for us to acknowledge that as well in the movies. I think we're not making the kind of content that we used to. There is a paradigm shift in terms of what we want to project our cinema to be. There will always be the mainstream, there will always be the playing to the gallery, but there is also so much unusual filmmaking that is going on that is finding a large acceptance. Then similarly, like what, I think what you said about Samir, there is so much digital television about it, there are web series, there are so many formats and portals that can actually take our entertainment and give it a totally different color altogether. It's not just film. Film is not the be-all and end-all of anyone's existence. I keep saying that film is maybe aspirational, film is like the big screen medium, but let me tell you, there is a large diminishing effect of the power of film. It'll always remain as the mother of all entertainment. Celluloid will always have its charm. We can't call it celluloid anymore, actually, it's digital, so that itself kind of kills a certain aspect. But I mean, everything is moving to different formats. If you go to America, I mean, what is, barring the big event film, the franchise film, or the adaptation of this tremendous book, the film, the regular film, has completely made its way to television. Right. Everything, everyone is watching. So there's so many opportunities that give so many opportunities to music, to actors, to all kinds of talent, that, they shouldn't just feel like that bomb Mumbai and the film industry is your big dream. It used to be the big dream. It's now not a nightmare, but it's definitely between a dream and a nightmare.
So we're definitely betting.
Karan, is that actually going to have to play around with. You can actually layer your films. So, as a director, even if your content writer has made it unidimensional, when you actually deal with your talent on the floor and they give you 5 options on the same character in terms of the running role, you start making your content far more complex, because you don't make it for the lowest common denominator. You make it much more sophisticated, you make it much more complex, and that is what actually good casting is all about. It gives the director such a lot of options to actually take the basic content and layer it. Yeah. And layering is actually going to be what is going to be the future.
Yeah. So I want to just pose one kind of question to Samir sir. जितना reality shows बन रहे हैं अभी इंडिया में, how does this impact the auditions for that? Because once I had the fortune of actually going to one of these auditions that a cousin was doing in Jaipur, line itni lambi hai. How does this help you guys?
But actually, you see, one is about the reality show auditions, is that there's a thrill in doing that, as into going to the cities and having the big lines, because that makes a good television, and it looks nice, it shows the whole city is activated. But what it does, most importantly, is that, of course, something like this allows a lot more people to participate, a lot more people to sort of send in their entries. whether they are freaks or whether they are genuinely talented. But either way, it's a real opening it up.
Right.
And the more important thing, just to echo what Karan is saying, is that in the next in the few years, this whole content business is going to explode, and it's like a monster that needs to be fed. It needs talent. It needs lots of new talent. And while movies is like the gold standard, but everything else in the business, whether TV or online or events or just performances,
Or
anything.
even advertising.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, I think to echo a little bit what Karan was saying earlier, films is the granddaddy of them all, as they call the Rose Bowl in the U.S. But and it is there's a massive style factor to it. But for a platform like this, we definitely believe that digital content, ad films, and then television is going to be the biggest platform that it can be in terms of people that come on and post their profiles. So with that being said, I'm going to open it up to the audience a little bit for a few questions and then to the media. So where's our first question here?
I want to add one
Yes,
thing.
sir.
Is that in your, format, there's one small missing point. See, the biggest hurdle that we have today, as far as entertainment is concerned, is content writers. Okay, I find no space or a area to perform for content writers.
Yeah.
Because first we underpay them. We don't treat them with the due respect that they get everywhere else in the world. And so not too many young content writers want to be content writers. They actually prefer to be directors.
Yes.
So when you find a content writer who's even halfway, talented, he says, I don't